Hey, welcome to Engine Adventures. Today we have the 2020 Ford F-250 Super Duty with the 7.3 gas engine and the 10-speed automatic. So, for rough road driving, this thing is definitely not the smoothest, and that's not what it's made for. It's a heavy-duty truck for hauling, towing, and it bounces like crazy off-road with that heavy towing suspension in it. It is, sorry, Ford's beep at everything. I don't know if we're gonna try this hill. I'll show you in a minute. We'll see if we can try it, but the chin spoiler on this thing is so low that I don't know if I want to try it. So we're just gonna go do the articulation test spot and see what we can do there. It does have an off-road mode. I think it was, I'll have to go through it right now. As soon as we stop. Man, this thing is so bumpy. This one does, I think I mentioned before, it's four-wheel drive and has the rear locking differential that you can lock in two-wheel drive, which is cool. Not very many vehicles allow you to do that. And then obviously has the low range transfer case. So the only more off-road capable Ford Super Duty or heavy duty or whatever full-size truck besides the Raptor, I mean the 3/4 ton and 1 tons, is the Tremor, and the difference there is the 35-inch tires, and the front differential is a torsion limited slip. But we don't have the Tremor, so most of this is going to be the same. I think the Tremor has crawl control too, which is just an off-road cruise control. Can't remember what Ford calls it, but it's the same thing as Toyota's crawl control. So let's go ahead and try this in two-wheel drive. I'm going to set up the camera outside and we'll see what we can do. While there is a lot of wheel slip here, the traction control system does figure it out, and I could have made it further up the hill, but I was worried about hitting that air dam on the front of the truck. You can see here with the rear differential locked how easily it climbs this hill. Other vehicles struggle even with all-wheel drive. So slippery mode allows for a little bit more wheel spin, as you can see here. It does transfer power, it just takes a little bit longer. You can see here that it provides for a little bit more slip than the normal mode. It wasn't much more, but the truck did struggle a little bit more to climb this hill, which is exactly what the snow and sand mode is supposed to do. Again, you can see how much better the two-wheel drive with the rear diff lock on does than the four-wheel drive without the diff lock on. The low range gearing here makes it so I pretty much just idle up this. I hardly had to give it any throttle. So here are the different settings for the drive modes, and all you do is push the button right here and it shows up there in the center screen. Let me adjust my camera. Okay, so it'll show up there in the center. You can see this is normal, tow haul, eco, slippery, that's more for pavement slippery, and then deep snow and sand. And it says for deep snow and sand, improved performance, four-wheel drive is recommended. And so let's go through each of those modes again a little bit. Normal mode, obviously just the standard driving. Tow haul, it'll adjust the transmission shift points, it'll adjust the throttle input, and just more related for when you're having a heavy load. It increases the sensitivity or reaction time of the throttle, so you don't have to push it as far to get more power. Eco mode does the opposite. It tunes things down a little bit, just makes it so it's more economical to drive. And then slippery mode, it's just quicker on the traction control stuff to, you know, grab the spinning wheel and get you back in line. And then obviously the deep sand and snow mode, that one is, it allows for a lot more wheel spin. It still breaks the spinning wheels, but allows for more wheel spin to clear out mud or sand from your tires or snow, and doesn't cut your throttle at all. So in the normal mode, as you lose traction, it'll cut your throttle quite a bit, but in the deep snow and sand mode, it doesn't cut your throttle at all. So that's a really cool feature to have as well. And then of course there is the traction control off button here. I'm in, oh, there we go. The traction control's already off because of the sand mode. If I go back to normal, and then you can turn it off manually. Push it once, traction control's off, and we'll turn it back on. And then if you push it and hold it down, it'll turn off the advanced track, which is like stability control and all that stuff. And then traction control is off as well. Let's see if we can climb that other hill. It's getting a little bit rainy out, and I don't know about the chin spoiler on this thing, if it's gonna be able to make it. So I did just want to show you how close this, it's not a spoiler, but the air dam on the front is to the ground there. But we're gonna start climbing on the other side. So I think that we can just make this. I'll give it a shot. So there are situations where having four-wheel drive makes a big difference. For example, here, this is a steep hill. I can't make it in two-wheel drive, either with the diff lock off or on. But once I shift into four-wheel drive high with the rear diff open, it still just goes right up it. And obviously the best case is to have it in four-wheel drive with the rear diff locked. As you can see here, there's basically no wheel spin and it just climbs right up. Just wanted to give you another angle of the climb so you can see what the other side of the truck is doing and from the front. I wish I could clear that top ledge right there, but I can't make that at high center before I do. We'll give it one more shot from here, but I would love to go down this hill forward because the gearing is so low in this thing for low first gear. I believe the crawl ratio is 73:1 or something like that. I'll throw it up on the screen, but it is so low, even backing down just barely, no foot on the brake at all, it just rolled down. Alright, so I'm in four-wheel drive low. It automatically turns off the advanced track and traction control, all that, in reverse. And I'm on a really steep hill. This is one I was just climbing. I let my foot off the brake entirely. And there it goes. So that's how fast it will go down on its own because the gearing's so low. I mean, we're going about 1 mile an hour. I'm a little bit off course here, but it's super low. And if I do manual mode, get it into first gear, going up, it will almost crawl it without pushing on the gas. You do have to push on the gas a little bit. If this had a manual transmission, it would totally climb that without any problems. Just let the clutch out in first gear. You could stop out of the vehicle and let it walk itself up the hill. All right, so this hill is not nearly as steep as that one on the right that we do for our traction testing stuff, but this is still pretty steep. I'm actually going to push on the gas a little bit because we're going so slow. And then I just want you to notice how low the gearing is on this. And the speedometer is registering, looks like maybe 2 miles an hour. But just barely crawling down this hill. I'm not pushing the brake, of course. That's just the gearing doing that for us. And I love having that kind of crawl ratio. It just makes things a lot easier, especially when backing up and such. All right, thanks for watching Engine Adventures off-road review of the 2020 Ford F-250 Lariat with the 7.3 liter gas engine. This thing is surprisingly capable. We really enjoyed our time with it. Gas mileage was as expected at around 14.5, 15 empty, and when towing 12,500 pounds, closer to 13,000 pounds, I guess, it was getting about 8.5, 9 miles per gallon. So not terrible, but it is as expected. You'll get better gas mileage with the diesel, of course, but you don't have to pay that huge $10,000 upfront cost. Love the 10-speed transmission and the roominess inside the cabin. And then, of course, the rear differential lock that you can put on in two-wheel drive. Not many vehicles do that, so that was pretty awesome. And if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit subscribe. Due to the coronavirus, we've had some vehicles get canceled. We still should be getting them later, just not right away. So if you're interested in seeing this kind of stuff, though, I might be reviewing a few older vehicles and testing out their traction control systems for the next little while until we can get back in the normal again. So anyway, if you like what you saw, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and thanks for watching.